What is happening in those final sessions of this game, day one and day two? South Africa, poor batting performance on day two, a flurry of wickets on day one, too, as well. Wow, unbelievable. I don't actually know what to say about this, but we're going to be doing a review show on this particular game. Let's discuss this game. It's the first test, day two, between South Africa and the West Indies. And another bittersweet game or day for South Africa. But before I get going with this review show, before I get started, there's a couple of things that I'd like you guys to please do, and that's please subscribe to this channel. Please click that notification bell for all future videos. Don't forget to also damn, let's try that again. I just got hit by load shedding. Cut me as I was busy. So let's try that again. Okay, guys. A disappointing day into the day for South Africa. It's a bittersweet one because it was a great end to the day, and then the last hour was just this horrendous. So I'm going to try this again. There's a couple of things I'd like you guys to do. Is please download the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. Also, try to become a patron today, but to help us grow and promote South African cricket and help Cricket Fanatics magazine grow too. Link is on the screen as well as in the description. And then go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all your regular updates. We've got the report live. We've got some exclusive features, etc., all on the site. So go ahead and do that as well. I'm gonna try to move over to the other Wi-Fi before I continue with the stream, while while everything kicks in with regards to the generator, etc. Not generator, but yeah, whatever it's called. So I'm going to try and kick over to the other stream before I get the stream going again. Let me just see that. Okay, I'm back. Okay, cool. So without further ado, guys, let's get straight into today's video. Sorry about the interruptions at the start of the stream. We can't help it when load shedding's gonna happen, etc. And I completely forgot that I'm in Joburg. It's different times, different load shedding schedules. Yeah, and I don't actually know them off by hand like I do when I'm in Cape Town. But let's get straight into it. Intro was completely messed up, but hello everybody, welcome to Cricket Fanatics magazine. This is your review show. I'm your host Khalid, and this is the show where we talk about everything that has to do with day two of the first test between South Africa and the West Indies. So What happened in this match? So it was another bittersweet end to the day two for the Proteas, with Anrich Nokia's 5 helping South Africa dismiss the West Indies for 212. But there was a flurry of wickets, obviously, at the end. In the last half an hour, which was the host in the day on 49 for 4 with a lead of 179. It was obviously a very frustrating day for the Proteas bowlers, and despite striking early through KG, I mean, it was a beautiful delivery that clipped the off stump of West Indies captain Craig Brathwaite, and they struggled to find the luck throughout this match. And the luck, what I mean by luck is, despite Anrich Nokia and debutant Jero Kutsia also breaking the West Indies' momentum, taking wickets periodically, um, Kutsia obviously taking his maiden test wicket as well, taking the wicket of Chandapal, which is an awesome wicket to actually claim. And Nokia obviously dismissing Jermaine Blackwood for 73 ball 37. At this point, they managed to reduce the West Indies to 122 for 3 after 38.3 overs. But what was happening throughout the game was that they were struggling to find the edges. I mean, a lot of the balls were missing the bat by quite a lot. And West Indies were leaving well, blocking well, and only hitting the balls that they necessarily felt they needed to, parry away or hit to the boundary. And a lot of the balls just missed the edge quite marginally. Um, but they did show their patience and their guts with Raymond Reifer, who scored 62, facing 143 deliveries, which obviously showed how patient he was and the approach that the West Indies had in this game. I felt it was a bit defensive, but it worked for them in the end to keep them in the wicket. But then there was a turning point towards their last hour or so. The innings swung back into South Africa's favor, and Marco Jansen actually found the wicket of Reifer. Um, in the I think it was around about the 57th over. I think it happened, and then Rabada struck the following delivery as well to remove Roston Chase. And then Nokia was brought back brilliantly by, I must say, by Temba Bavuma, great captaincy, to bring him back in the 60th over, and he struck off the first ball of Joshua De Silva, hitting the ball to point, and then Windies were reduced to 179 for 6. And then Holder was next to go, and Nokia's second. Jason Holder he was squared up and edged the ball to Aiden Markin in the slips, and West Indies were 179 for 7. Then Nokia continued his fire spell. He took another wicket to knock over West Indies for 8 for 190 runs, with Alzari Josephs trying to a back foot punch, which was taken at point again. And then Kyle Myers went on the attack. He really made me a little bit nervous. He was with a real West Indian way, and he hit a couple of boundaries for his 18 off 22 balls. But then Nokia took his fourth 5-wicket haul by dismissing him, and he picked up Janssen in the deep, trying to pull a pull shot. And at this point, West Indies were reduced for 202 for 9. Then Kutsia took a second wicket, trapping Shannon Gabriel LBW to skittle West Indies out for 212, which was an excellent performance from the South African bowlers. And then South Africa in this session took 7 wickets for 76 runs in 20 overs in this match. Unfortunately, though, when we went out to bat, although Aiden came out swinging and batting really well and quite quickly, the Proteas lost 4 wickets in the last half an hour. There was 11 wickets that fell in the final session. Incredible. 16 wickets on the day. Dean Alga, another poor dismissal, a carbon copy of the first innings, trying again to ramshot Alzari Joseph, who took his wicket again. I mean, I thought that he didn't know that the fielder is placed over there. And a lot of people some people might say it was the right shot to play, but you could also leave it, in my opinion. But it was a poor dismissal again, and South Africa were 31 for 1 after 4 overs. And then the Zorzi duck, and then Kemba Roach obviously tickling his edge, and then that was 33 for 2. And then Bavuma was dismissed for a pair in the match. Similarly to the Zorzi, the ball kissed his outside edge. And Joseph was this time the wicket taker. Now, an interesting stat about Bavuma, he's now the 25th player to bag a pair as a captain. AB de Villiers and Faf du Plessis are also on that list. And at this point, SA was reduced to 34 for 3. And then Kevin Peterson was the next to fall. And that raised some questions with me. I don't know if Shukri likes night watchman or not, but I thought that they should have brought out a night watchman at this point. It was quite puzzling that they didn't do that after the first wicket fell already. With the light obviously fading, we knew that it was we're gonna probably see the full 5:30 end. But there wasn't much left in the game, and I thought that after the first wicket fell, maybe sending in Maybe not a night watchman then, or maybe a number 6 batter or number 7, or maybe even Gerald Coetzee, someone that can maybe hit a couple of boundaries like he did yesterday towards the end of play. I think that would have been maybe a good move, and then save our batters for tomorrow when the pitch obviously is going to bake a little bit more and flatten out. But SA ended on 49 for 4 with a lead of 179. And at the post-match press conference, or at the post-match interview, Anik NORTJE actually said that at the close of play that he believes that 250 plus would be uh, a good score for South Africa to win this game, which was quite shocking for me to hear that. I thought he might have said maybe 300, but in the position that we're in, maybe 250 plus they can defend. So that's the summary of the game, guys, of what happened in the match. Let me get into the live chat and read some of your chats and what you had to say. Why did Dean play the same shot again? Yeah. Why did he not play a night watchman? Because it's not likely they didn't see that West Indies had some momentum. Would it not have been better? I thought so too. I think that would have been a smarter move. Another duck for Vumu. So was it right to make him captain? Well, I read out the stat for you guys that he's the 25th man to get dismissed, to have a pair on his debut as a captain. And AB de Villiers and Faf du Plessis also suffered the same fate. So he's the 25th man to do so, to get a pair on debut, and to know that. Okay, not skipper, but 25th man to get the debut, to get the duck on his debut. So he's not the first person. He's not the first skipper to do so. So I think that maybe gives us some hope going into the Wanderers. Perhaps he can do something wonderful in that particular match and come back. But if we're going to give Bavuma any credit over here, even though it was poor, there are other two phenomenal players, skippers, that have also gotten a pair as captain for the Proteas. So that maybe gives me some hope. It's good to see Markram playing with such huge confidence. It's brilliant. Surely Shukri pulled all his hair out if he had any by now. 49 for 4, 8.1 overs. It's terrible. I mean, he would have been peeved off from this. Congratulations, Anik Nokia, for 5 for 55. Brilliant. He was brilliant today. Absolutely fire. Nokia's army. These are things we enjoy about Test cricket. I feel for Keegan Peterson. Test cricket is tough. You need to be informed to make it fair. If he had played 50 tests before, I'm happy, but he is still inexperienced on this level. Yeah, and Kelly made a great point yesterday that maybe he should have been played some maybe Rickleton should have played instead of Keegan, and Keegan should have played for the Dolphins because he's been injured and had COVID for so many games and so many matches and so many months he's been out. It would have been great. Would have been quite smart to maybe let him get his form back, get some rhythm going. Not form back, but get his rhythm going in domestic cricket for the Dolphins first before he gets his recall to the Proteas, because he hasn't been playing red ball cricket for a very long time. And we moved to 2023, still waiting for Bavuma to score his second test century after 55 tests. No one will talk about Bavuma's pair in this test. I'm talking about it now, but I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know why people want to make it seem like and have a go at Bavuma all the time and make it seem like people don't criticize Bavuma. There are people that criticize him, and people want to criticize him when he doesn't perform well. And I criticize him too when he doesn't perform well, like in this test match. Maybe he should. I mean, he got dismissed almost with a similar delivery in a way. Obviously, in different ways, got dismissed, but in a similar delivery, he got dismissed. Maybe he should have moved himself, positioned himself differently. But like I said, I'm going to say the stat again. There are two other world-class players that played for South Africa and skippers that got a pair on their debut as captain. So AB de Villiers and Faf du Plessis. So maybe that gives us some hope from that perspective. But he needs to be better. I want to talk about performance, but everyone is too scared and want to be. No, I'm not. No one. I don't think people are scared. I'm not even scared to talk about Bavuma, and I'm not scared to hear your thoughts on Bavuma. What I don't like is the dehumanization of him, the attack on him that he gets unfairly in certain cases. For example, in Test cricket, we can't be so critical on Bavuma in Test cricket like we are in T20 cricket, because in Test cricket he's played quite well for South Africa. Yes, he hasn't scored many hundreds for South Africa, but he scored a hell of a lot of half centuries that saved us in Test matches in the past and recently. Now, Yes, he's been poor in poor form now in the Test arena, and he's got a pair on his as a captain on his captaincy debut. But that doesn't mean he's a terrible Test player. And I think that it's a bit of a false narrative to say just because Pavuma's terrible in T20 cricket to say that he's terrible in ODIs and Tests too. He just scored a century against England in ODIs recently. I mean, how can we talk about him being terrible in white in the ODI format and the Test arena? That is just being completely unfair and biased towards his performances in the T20 arena. So I don't think we should mix formats when criticizing players. Criticize them for specific formats. Ryan is laughing at all these players. Um, Good. That's what we've been asking. I don't understand who thought it was a good idea not to send a nightman unless someone has a good reason. I mean, I don't know the reason for that. I thought that it would have been a good move to do that especially after the first wicket fell. He might be worst number four of any international side in loss, but this is his first series that he's played. Okay, maybe he's played a couple of times, but he's barely played at a number four yet. Are we gonna just criticize him after one test as captain at the number four position? He hasn't batted it for his whole majority of his test career. Marketing is back taking on attack to the bowlers, but the four batsmen scored only 8 runs combined. It was a terrible performance today, but it was also very good bowling. Let's not only blame South Africa. Let's not only do so, because I do think that we need to give credit to West Indies as well for the way they bowled. They bowled phenomenally. They bowled with intensity towards this end. So toward the end of this match. Um, I'm not defending Bavuma, Justin. So stop falsely accusing me of things. I'm not defending him. I said I defend him for dehumanization of him. When people are racist towards him and call him all these weird, all these names that are dehumanizing, that's what I defend him for. I'm not defending him. It was poor. How can I be defending him if I said it's poor? All I did is gave a stat. And if you guys don't want to listen to stats when it comes to Bavuma, but you want to listen to stats when it comes to your players that you like, then that's obviously being hypocritical, is it not? A man that should have never played for SA. Okay, sorry guys, but there's no better love story than Khalid defending Bavuma. I'm not defending Bavuma. I criticized him in T20 cricket, and I have criticized him today. So whatever you're saying is false. You can continue saying the same stuff. It doesn't mean it's true. Just because you hate Pavuma doesn't mean that everybody else has to hate him too. That's all I'm saying. And I didn't say you guys in the live chat are dehumanizing him, but go look on Facebook, go look on Twitter, go look at the amount of criticism, the cruel criticism that he does get. Um, that's all I'm saying. The first session is, in my opinion, if we don't score 300, then West Indies have a chance to win. A lot of time left for chase. Batting collapse after batting collapse. This is becoming a trend and a problem. Yes, the bowling was good, but this ain't something in isolation. Been happening for the past 2 years on flat decks too. Now, the deck wasn't necessarily very flat towards the end of this particular innings, like the way you are saying it. You can't look at a wicket and just because it's flat in the first session, that means that it's flat throughout the test match. That's not the case. There's a reason why wickets have been loads of wickets have been falling in the final session of the day in both days. There's a reason for that. That's not because of bad batting only and good bowling only. It's also got to do with the pitch getting a little bit trickier to bat on. I've got Werner with me. Werner, there's people calling me out saying that I'm defending Timber all the time, eh? When I criticized him on this particular channel right now. So, and the cricketer falsely accusing me, saying I must defend him because he needs interviews with him. Okay, bro. Okay. I just criticized him right now, and all I did is give a stat that he's not the first captain for South Africa that has gotten a pay on his debut. What is your thoughts on Bavuma? Because people trust you and your thoughts on certain things and certain takes. So, what do you think about Bavuma in Test cricket?
People shouldn't trust me more than they trust you. There's no reason to. But yeah, before I get to that point about AB and Faf also making pairs as captains. It's interesting because both of them also made it in Centurion. So clearly, you do not want to be captaining at this venue. In terms of Temba, first innings, he'll probably be kicking himself because that one didn't do much. It was pretty straight. He just brought his bat down at an angle, didn't play it very well, and got out early. But that happens sometimes early in your innings. You still want to get a feel for it. This innings, I thought he got a very good ball. I think that would have gotten out most batters. Him and Tony both got very good deliveries, and I don't think we can blame either of them for getting golden ducks in this innings. And it's his first test as captain. I wouldn't read too much into it. He's been our best test or most consistent test batter for the last couple of years. So I really wouldn't read too much into one test. Let's give him a go. Let's see how he goes. Obviously, it's not easy captaining your country and performing well necessarily. We've seen players like Quentin Lecoq and Dean Algar both having a big dip in form once they took over the captaincy of the test side. So it's not an easy thing, but let's give the guy more than one test before we go after him.
Yeah, I know people are going to call out his complete his whole test average overall. Can you maybe give some? I'm sure you know the stats of what his record is over the last maybe 2 or 3 seasons or 3 years for South Africa. Do you know it offhand?
Yeah, I can't remember the
Estimate.
exact stat right now, but it's
Yeah.
around 40, average of 45 or thereabouts. It's over 40. He's the only batter, if I remember correctly, that
Oh, interesting.
averages over that in the last couple of years. So you can look at his overall average and you can look at the fact that he hasn't only scored the one century, which is a problem, and he's admitted it.
Yeah,
And he said that he needs to score more centuries, and that's
definitely
definitely
does.
still true. And he will need to do that. But you can't. Put the spotlight on him and put all the criticism on him when all the other batters have been doing worse than he has. So I think that's one thing we need to look at. That there's no use just criticizing him the whole time when the other guys are struggling as well.
Yeah, and people must criticize when they players when they do perform poorly. That is what things that happens within cricket. I mean, it's sport, and sportsmen are always going to get criticized. I just ask our fan base, at least, when you guys do go to social media and you do criticize players, that you do it with respect. Criticize their cricket ability, criticize that, but to go after the player and attack the player, a person, I think is a bit vile, and shows what type of person you are if you do something like that as well. So I want to ask you something, Werner, because this is an interesting topic to talk about going into the next day. Um, Currently 179. That's what we leading by. Uh, Gonna be interesting. It was interesting first and foremost. Let me just talk about this before I move on to the next topic. That's also interesting to talk about. Let's just first talk about the a possibility of maybe bringing in a night watchman and why they didn't do that after the first wicket fell. Do you have any theories on that personally? Because I thought that after the first wicket, with only 15 minutes left to go in the day, it would have been the right decision maybe to bring in one of your all-rounders like a Gerald, or maybe even a Marco, or maybe even one of your, or maybe Gerald. I think would have been probably the best person to bring in that situation, is seeing that he batted quite decently in the last session on day one.
Yeah, it's interesting. I would like to know who made that call, because in the past we would have sent in a night watchman. I'm thinking maybe it's Shukri saying that he doesn't enjoy the night watchman thing and wanting the batters to front up and take the responsibility, and so that they come out in the morning again and continue. So
Interesting.
that's a possibility. If they did send in a night watchman, I'd probably send in Andrich Nortje. He's done it in the past, and you'll just
Yeah.
be out there standing. But again, I think something to take into consideration, because it was so close. We ended our innings, our bowling innings, so close to the end of the day. They might have just wanted to give the bowlers a bit of a rest. They didn't want them to bowl these overs throughout the day, and they've just come off a spell. Now they have to go out there and bat for 20 minutes, face Alzari Joseph bowling at 150, maybe crack a finger and out of the next test match, that
Mm.
sort of thing. So there's a few things to take in consideration. There's definitely you could make a case for having a night watchman out there, but you could also make a case for telling the batters whose job it is to bat to go out there and face out the rest of the deliveries.
Yeah, when I look at it from that perspective and thinking that is probably sounds like a Shukri thing to do, to give the to tell those guys to toughen up and go face the ball when it's difficult, or go face the conditions when it's difficult. Um, so yeah, I mean, both teams collapsed today, which is a crazy thing. After quite a decent start, West Indies were looking pretty decent. It's amazing how a session can change this wicket. Ball starting to angle in quite sharply, quicker. The wicket seems to be quickening up. Um, I mean, ball starting to move around. Um, Based on the current situation that we're at, 179 lead, and with Anik Nokia saying that we just need 250 plus to win this game. What is your thoughts on that? How much do you think we need? Because in my head, it was 300 plus, not 250.
Yeah, I think that's the type of thing you say when you've just lost 4 wickets for 49 runs,
Yeah.
rather than what you'd actually want. I don't think 250 is enough, even though it is the West Indies batting lineup. If their openers get stuck in and we know they can bat for long periods of time, we will be sweating. So I think probably I would want a minimum of 300. Still a long way away from where we are now, and we'll have to work through that first spell tomorrow morning. But yeah, I would feel a lot more comfortable if we can get to 300. We don't have plenty of batters to come. Obviously, it's Klaasen who Shukri is backing to come good and play his natural game. And so we might see if Klaasen and Markram stick around for all session, you'll see a lot of runs. Both are natural stroke makers. They'll take on any loose delivery and run very quick between the wickets as well. Klaasen is good against the spinner, so if Ruston Chase comes on, he'll probably take him on as well. So if both of them can stick around for the first session, I feel we will probably get ourselves into a winning position. If West Indies manage to get both of them out early, then we're in deep trouble again, because then you have Mutusami, who is being backed as a batting all-rounder, since Tima doesn't have any batting form, 4-day batting form coming into this series. And then you have Janssen, you have Gerald, who can both chip in, but you don't want to be relying on them to score us 80 to 100 runs. So it's going to be vitally important between Markram, Klaasen, and then Mutusami to score the bulk of the runs in the first couple of sessions.
Yeah, it's gonna that the Mutasami call is going to be the either the uprising of Shukri, or I wouldn't say downfall yet, because it's too soon to say downfall, but I mean it's going to get some criticism if he doesn't come off, of course. But I'm going to be very interested to see how Heinrich Klaasen approaches the game tomorrow. With runs on the board, his approach I was okay with. This thought it was overly attacking. I thought he could have maybe this sat down a little bit. Um, but I'll be very interesting to see how he approaches his game tomorrow. Does he go old school Test cricket manner, or does he go out there swinging like he did in the first innings? It's going to be very interesting to see, because that partnership between Markram and Aiden is going to be key for us to win this game, I feel, or to put on a decent total. We can't be losing wickets early tomorrow. We need to be able to at least see out the first session and put some runs on that board. Okay, I'm going to bring on our first caller. We've got Liago with us. Welcome to the show, bro. What would you like to say?
Hey Khalid, hey man, how you guys doing tonight?
Now, we good. Good to hear from you again, man.
Yeah. It is good. I found this test quite interesting. It has like the first two sessions on both days. It's quite slow and it's quite a hard slog for bowlers. Um, Not necessarily for the batsmen on day one. Like Alba and Markram got quite a few boundary balls and made the most of it. But it's quite hard work for the first two sessions. And then in the final session, all hell breaks loose. Like it's a tremendous amount of wickets. I'd say more the first day was more due to bad batting, because I don't think it was as much an up and down pitch as it is currently. Um, SA lost 4 wickets, and I'd say probably only one of them are extremely avoidable if you're being pretty critical. So it's an interesting balance to the game at this point in time.
So, what would be a total that you think? Because I mean, Anik Nokia was caught saying that he thinks 250 plus would be a winnable total. What do you think South Africa need to put on the board tomorrow to maybe get a lead that they can definitely defend? Would you say?
probably 300.
Hmm.
Tage and Craig can bat for a very long time, and they won't have time pressure. It's
Hmm.
not like there's going to be a deterioration on the fourth day. They actually can bat as long as they want to. As long as they keep the good ones out, then they could make quite a few runs. Mayors can make runs quickly, and Reef has shown a bit of application that he hasn't done before, and De Silva can also stick around. So I'd say 300 is probably the best bet.
Okay. Any final thoughts before we say bye to you?
Basically for the South African batsman, it's important to apply yourself and not don't lose wickets in very unnecessary ways. Like yesterday, Zozi with the run out caused a collapse. Today, Alga, he went out the same way he did in the first innings. That brought about three more wickets because, the guys got unplayable balls. So it's important that when you're in, you got to make sure that you reduce your chances of getting dismissed. And that way, not only do you benefit yourself, you also benefit the team.
Liago, thanks a lot for giving us your comments. Excellent points that you made there today. We'll discuss it now on the show as well. I hope you call in again very soon.
Cheers, Khalid.
Cheers, man. Okay, I just want to get into the super chat. We can answer this question together. Werner, Neil Govender wants to know, how did South Africa's batting become so frail? Okay, I'm gonna start first. Okay, so I have a theory about South Africa's batting, and my theory is, or what I've analyzed over the last year since I've been in cricket, because it's only really since 2016 that I've been covering cricket as a journalist, not as a fan alone, but actually as a journalist and going out there and watching teams being selected, etc. What I think happened incorrectly, or what South Africa has done poorly in the past, is integrating young players into red ball cricket. Not only that, but also youngsters, because the youth don't play red ball cricket. The under 19s, etc., don't really play. We can see how Deva Brevis is kind of struggling in the 4-day arena currently, doing weird things like sweeping players, sweeping spinners when he doesn't really need to. I mean, it's only his first 4-day game. I don't want to criticize him too much. But players like Deva Brevis, players like, who else can I say? Majority of the youngsters actually over the last 5 years or so haven't really played much red ball cricket when it comes to school level. So the first time they actually see it was with semi-pro cricket. That's or club cricket if they play club cricket. But club cricket isn't as strong as it used to be. 2-day cricket doesn't really happen in club cricket anymore. They only play 1-day games now, or 50 over matches, 35 over matches, etc., depending upon what level you play. So red ball cricket is a dying breed in South African cricket when it comes to the development of cricketers. Now, besides that, I felt that certain youngsters should have been bred into the team when the likes of AB, Faf, Dean, openers like Stephen Cook, for example, when he was opening the batting, when those experienced guys were in the team, I felt that maybe putting a youngster at number 6 to learn from the others on top of him, especially when they're world-class players like that, would have been a smart move to do. Because then by the time the others retire, you've got some experience in the team to take over from the previous players. Now we're sitting in a very different scenario than we sitting ever before. We've given a whole lot of new players an opportunity, a whole different batting lineup rejigged, and it's fresh and it's new, that need to learn how to adapt and to the test arena quite quickly. I mean, Ryan Rickleton's quite new, Calvareno was quite new, Tony De Zorzi is now on debut. Keegan Peterson is also quite new. We've got a very, very young, fresh team actually when it comes to the test arena. And I just think that South Africa hasn't necessarily done the transitional phases quite well by introducing youngsters into the team early. What's your thoughts on it, Werner? Why are we so fragile over the last couple of years?
Yeah, I do agree. We didn't do that transition properly. Obviously, we lost a bunch of very good test players at once, and that's always going to be tricky. And obviously, it's been a while now since AB and I need to focus. I wanted to say Stain, but our bowlers have been fine. So AB and Faf and Colors and Amla and even Dumini although he didn't play to his potential. There's a bunch of guys that retired within a few years of each other, and that has made it difficult and meant we needed to integrate a bunch of new guys. Um, with our first class system, we know that isn't as strong as it used to be, and we needed to become stronger again and bring up players that are already almost at the level they need to be to perform once they hit the ground running. Well, once they hit this level to hit the ground running. That's a tricky one. And I also feel like we don't always pick players when they are in form. We pick players that might have been good 2 seasons ago, but have been struggling of late, or we don't pick players for the positions that they
Mm.
are necessarily good at. Now we're playing Keegan Peterson, who's been in poor form since coming back from injury, and we're playing him at 5 while he's batting at 3 for the Dolphins and batted at 3 for the Proteas before. It doesn't feel like the right strategy when you do have Ryan Rickleton, who's come off 3 centuries in 3 matches in first class cricket. He is in the squad. He can bat at number 5 without any issues. We're not playing him, which I feel was a mistake, and he should probably be playing in the next game. So it's small things, and you need experienced players to build confidence in the youngsters. And if the experienced players aren't performing, how can you expect the youngsters to
Yeah.
step up and perform? So if Dean Alga is struggling, um, and you don't have any other experienced pros in the game. I mean, we had Rossi for a while, and he might fight it out for a 30 or a 40, but that's not really good enough for test level.
Mm.
So our whole batting lineup, if you look at it now, we have Algar, who's hit and miss at this stage. Um, Good thing that Markram looks like he's finding some form. So obviously that's a plus point for right now. But we have Tony DeZol who's making his debut in this match. He's coming in with great form of the first class in first class cricket for Western Province, so that's good. And he looked good in the first innings until he ran himself out. Today he got a very good delivery, so I'm okay with. Not with the run out, but with today's delivery. Temba has been, as we said, one of our best batters in the last couple of years. He got good delivery second innings. He'll be a bit upset with the first innings dismissal, and then KP's been out of form, so you can see where the problems lie. And Klaasen, he does have the backing. He's coming in with good first class form. He's coming in with good form overall. So the hope is that he will now put it into good use in the Test series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think another thing as well, when you like I've always said, maybe I'm a bit cautious with my approach, where I feel Shukri is very he wants the players to toughen up, you know. And if he believes, for example, that Tony Dezorgi should be the number 3 for South Africa, throw him in there to be there and learn quickly from situations. But I would have, if I was ever a coach in any situation and I was a selector, I would rather want that youngster to learn from the experienced players ahead of him who have played there already. So maybe even moving Tony down would have been an option to let him get familiar with Test cricket and then having Keegan in the position that he was selected for in the first place. But if you have a Ryan Rickleton as well in the team, that's also another option. But I think Kelly made a good point yesterday, Verna. She said Keegan has been out for quite some time, injured, COVID, etc. And he hasn't really played much 4-day cricket on his comeback. And then we throw him into a test immediately almost after only one game I think he had for the Dolphins since his comeback. So would it have been maybe a smarter move to maybe play Ryan, let Keegan go play for the Dolphins, and then play Tony at 3, and then give that a chance?
Yeah, I probably, it's a tough one on KP because he was very good
Yeah.
in that India series, and then he got injured and he got COVID, and he didn't have a great series in England, but then again wasn't available for the Australia series, so he's been in and out, in and out. Um, Obviously now coming back from injury to the Dolphins, he's struggled. He's looked a bit scratchy. That first innings, he scratched around as well until he got out. So it's a tricky one, but I'd prefer playing somebody that's in form and high on confidence like Ryan Rickleton in this type of situation. So that's just the way I would go. I would just play the informed guy. Tony might be happy to play at 3, so I guess that's another question. He looked comfortable enough in that first inning, so I wouldn't say it's necessarily a big problem just yet. Usually, you'd probably want to ease a guy in later, but then the alternative would be using KP at 3, but still KP's not in good form. So will that really solve the issue? I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Werner, let's get your final thoughts of this particular. Oh, wait. Before we get to your final thoughts, I just want to talk about the 4-days because it's wrapped up now. I just want to talk about some of the performances over here that took place. I'm going to put up the wrap on the screen so you guys can look at it with me. I'll probably read it to you guys while we go through the different results so you guys can get a full understanding of what actually transpired in the 4-day round of fixtures right now. So I'm going to get that up on.
Transpired.
Hey, don't spoil it for people. You want to give spoilers here? I can't let you watch any Marvel movies before the time because you're probably going to spoil it over me as well. Okay, let's get into it. Yeah, Fortuyn was brilliant, as Werner said. I mean, phenomenal performance by him. He was the star of the round, 100%. I feel. So the Knights, the Dolphins, and the Lions secured victories. When it comes to the Wanderers, Bjorn Fortuyn scored 123 not out, and then a 65 in the second innings as well. And he also picked up 9 wickets in the match, which was phenomenal. Other performance in the match as well. Malusi Sipoto scored 52, while Mitchell van Buren scored 46. Dominic Hendricks 44 in the first innings, and that was for 323. That was when Bjorn scored his 100. And then Western Province's reply was pretty good, 423 in the first innings, and took 100-run lead with 100-run lead with Zubair Hamza, the star, with 129. Good to see him score runs again. Kyle Verreynne 68. Mihlali Mapungwana is someone that I really want to see get some credit for his performances. He's been brilliant ever since he started for Western Province. Carl Simmons has also been brilliant. It's going to make it quite tough for George Linder to come back into the team again, but I'm sure they will pick George Linder when he comes back. But I mean, Carl Simmons is not making it very easy for Western Province in that position. He scored 40. And then Bjorn Hendricks took 5 for 59 in the match and took 350 wicket milestone. And the Lions scored 315 in the second innings thanks to Dominic Hendricks 80 and Bjorn Fortuyn as well, to help with to set 250 VP 215 to win. And they fell just 28 runs short, and Bjorn took a 6-wicket haul, and Sasando Magala 326. Bjorn was excellent in that match overall. And then we've got the Knights. They won their clash against the Warriors by 161 runs. Gian 93 and Patrick Kruger 81. They steered the visitors to 422 all out in the first innings, followed by Patrick Kruger, not Krugel, I need to change that, who wreaked havoc to give his side a more than handy lead with 5 for 21 to bowl the Warriors out for a party to 134. Then by Swanepoel, who picked up 5 for 82. And he continued his great spell, picked up 5 for 35 to bowl the Knights out for 157 and set the Warriors a daunting total of 445. Matthew Brzezinski tried his best, 111 again for the boy, playing phenomenally at that position. And Rudy Second 77, but they were all out for 284. So that was a bit unfortunate for the Warriors. I mean, I thought that it was a perfect scenario. Warriors at home against the Knights in the match that they should be winning. They don't win. It kind of seems like the same old story over there, Werner, don't you think, from the Warriors' point of view?
Yeah, they wouldn't have wanted to lose against a side at the very bottom who's facing relegation. But yeah, credit to the Knights that they showed up, did well, put the Warriors under pressure with their batting innings, and getting Jordan Hadman early in the first innings helped as well, put the Warriors back a bit. So good credit to them. Bayer Swanepoel's been very impressive all season, leading wicket taker in the competitions, averaging his overall average is something like 18, and for the series it's 14, something ridiculous like that. So he's been going very well. So he's a very bustly bowlers, very, very Vernon Philander like. Try and keep it tight, move the ball around a bit, just keep it simple. So it's good to have a player like that in the domestic scene, troubling the batters.
Mm-hmm. Then in Durban, it was another rain-affected match. Oh wow, well, not like I'm surprised about that. The Titans were batted poorly though, as it was skittled out for 165 in the first innings. Corbin Bosch scoring 54. But it was Sabrayan who took 7 for 52 and John Smuts 3 for 58. Um, they picked up 19 of the 20 wickets in the match. Jason Smith batted well, 82. It's good to see him scoring on those wickets as well. And John Smuts 42 led the way with the bat as the Dolphins scored 253. Once again, it was Subrayan 4 for 45 and Smuts 5 for 67, who ran through the team to the Muslim for 438. And the Dolphins just needed 50 runs for victory, and they won by 7 wickets. So, your thoughts on this round of fixtures, Werner? We are producing a lot of great performances with regards to the bat from players throughout this, but we can obviously see that the transition to Test cricket is quite tough for our players. So it's easy for us to just run and jump the gun and say every single person that's doing well in domestic cricket should be pushed into the Proteas team. But we can see that that it is quite difficult, the step up from 4-day cricket to Test cricket. But what's your thoughts of this round of fixtures?
Yeah, that step up is difficult. I think a lot of it comes down to the bowlers in the domestic scene just doesn't have the consistency you'll see at the international level. They'll bowl one, two, maybe three good balls in an over, but then they'll give you one or
Yep.
two bad balls you can put away and make it easy, or even just get off strike, go to the other end. So that you don't find that constant pressure as a batter, but still you need to do your best as a batter domestically. Obviously, otherwise you won't be seen. So kudos to players like Matthew Breetzke, who's had a fantastic season. Jordan Herman didn't have a good game, but actually he was bowled against the helmet in the second innings. He went off concussed, unfortunately. So hopefully he'll be all right. Which I thought was interesting because that meant that Tristan Stubbs came in for him in the second innings. He faced a few deliveries and then got out for out 8, so not much happened there. But all in all, I think Bjorn Fortuyn definitely the standout of this round, scoring a fantastic 100, taking 9 wickets in the match. Brilliant from him. Very mature player. We all know him very well. Also had an excellent SA20. Yeah, so the first class, the Titans, they really struggled, but obviously most of the Proteas players are gone. So you didn't have Klaasen, Algar, Markram, Simon Armour, Dennis De Bruin didn't play, Lungi Ngidi didn't play. So they had 3 debuts. They had Brevis, Donovan Ferreira, and Smangaliso. All of them had debuts in this match, and that batting lineup did look a bit fragile, and it turned out to be that way, especially playing in Durban where the spinners of the Dolphins run amok almost always. This time it's just John Smart instead of Maharaj. So they were up against it, and they didn't play it well. Brevis struggled against the spin. He didn't seem to know exactly what approach to take against them. But that rings true for most of the batters. The only one who really stuck in there was Neil Brunt in the second innings. First innings, Coleman Bosch played a bit of a counter attack. Did well to get them to some sort of total and then come out with the ball, pick up 2 early wickets to sort of bring them back into it. But then that Jason Smith played an important innings to take the Dolphins to a good lead, and ultimately Titans couldn't come back. Donovan Ferreira looked good, but he does need to learn to adjust his batting. I know he likes to play one way and be positive all the time, and it's good to be positive. Positive frame of mind. You want to score runs whenever he's there to score, but not be reckless. I think that's something that Markram has done well in this match. You can see he's looking to score runs, but whenever it's a good ball, he's seeing it out, he's blocking, he's leaving, playing it on his merit. And I feel that's something that Donovan Ferreira can definitely learn from him. But good to see him getting some overs with the ball. He actually picked up 5 wickets in the match. So that's something you wouldn't have expected coming into this round, that you'll see Donovan Ferreira making his Titans debut and opening the bowling in the second innings. So,
yeah. You know, one concern I'm thinking about right now as well is going back to that question, asking why our batting is so frail. My concern now is, of course, after this Test series, the next Test series I think is in India, right at the end of the year.
They're actually coming here again, I think.
Yeah, I mean, sorry. against India at the end of the year. So my concern is that there's no four-day ends very soon. There's no 4-day games until then. There's no cricket, for red ball cricket, for these players to go back and keep their form going. So we go kind of blank into a match like that or a series like that that's at a high level. How are we going to coach these guys though and get them ready for the test arena when we play such a little test though? That's a
Yeah,
very big concern for me.
it is a struggle. We don't play enough tests. We don't play enough first class
Ah,
games, and
yes, Ruben. Yeah. Oops.
yeah, yeah,
Okay, cool.
it
Yeah.
it is a very big gap. It is disappointing, but we knew coming into this year it was going to be like this, and that's really why so much hope is pinned on the financial aspect of the SA20, of what we can get out of that, so that we can again hold a lot more local uh, 4-day games, so that we can have a home and away game for every team, so that all the players can get more game time, but not
Mm.
only that, also experience all the conditions across the country. Because at this stage, you might play 5 out of your 7 games at home, and that doesn't really teach you as much as it will if you play all home and away against every opposition, every bowling attack. So that's going to be important to get back to playing more first class cricket. The guys in the off season, those that can go play in England,
Play county, yeah.
that helps. I think obviously Ryan Rickleton got the opportunity to play for Northamptonshire. He blew opposition's away. He's I did put the stats out at some stage, but he scored like 500 runs in 8 innings, scoring 2 centuries, 2 50s. And so that it was just a continuation of his good form. And then he came back from that into the 4-day series here at home. So we'll have, I think it's 2 more rounds of 4-day cricket now before the season ends. And then the 4-day stuff will probably pick up again around November. So there will be a couple of matches before the end of year tour for India coming here. So hopefully they can use that. But still, I do agree it's not enough, and obviously not playing enough Test cricket. But hopefully that'll change as well. Also with the financial incentive from the SA20, they did say that despite what the future tour program says, we can arrange for more tests if we have the money to do so. So that is the hope.
Yeah, Betway, get involved. They have all the money, those guys, and I can't even get a sponsorship from them, of course, for my own personal reasons and religious reasons, etc. So that's why you guys need to get involved with our Patreon account. So you guys can also help us grow and promote South African cricket by becoming a Patreon today. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. Also, download the latest issue of the magazine. That also helps us a lot, so we can get some advertisers for the mag. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. Go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all regular updates. Like, comment, share as well. But also, click subscribe to the channel and click that notification bell for all future videos as well. Werner, thanks for being such a great sport and coming on the show today and having some excellent points you gave and your thoughts on the match. We'll see you guys again tomorrow with another review show. Hopefully, South Africa in a strong position going into the following day, and hopefully into a strong position that we know that we will either win or lose this test match. I hope that we win this match, of course, and so that they can go with some confidence into the Wanderers, which I think is going to be a very difficult test. I don't think that the wicket is going to be as we expect it to be. It's going to be quite tricky. I think spin is going to come into play as well. So let's see what happens with regards to that. Thanks a lot to everybody for tuning in. Thanks for the super chat, Neil Gavender. Thanks, Anna, and we'll see you guys very, very soon. Take care, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Peace out.
Cheers.